Why do you sometimes feel like you've already lived this moment? Everyone's felt it, at least once. You're going about your normal day, talking to someone, walking somewhere, sitting in a place you've been before, and suddenly, something feels strangely familiar. Not just the place, not just the person, the entire moment. The conversation you're having, the way things are unfolding around you, and for a few seconds, you get this strange, undeniable feeling. I've experienced this exact moment before. You know, you're living it right now, but something in your mind insists you've lived it once already. Then, just as fast as it came, the feeling disappears, and you're left wondering, when did this happen before? That experience is called déjà vu, French for already seen. And here's what makes it genuinely strange. It isn't simply about remembering something. It's a powerful feeling of familiarity arriving without a clear memory attached to explain it. Think about what happens when you recognize a face, but can't place it. You think, I know this person, but you can't remember where you know them from. Déjà vu can work in a similar way, except the feeling is much stronger, and instead of being attached to a face, it's attached to an entire moment. So why does this happen? Let's use an example. You're sitting in a coffee shop with a friend. The lighting is soft. Your conversation has a certain rhythm. Someone nearby suddenly drops a cup. It shatters. The sound echoes through the room. A few people laugh, and right then, it clicks. You feel like you've already lived this exact scene. One possible explanation comes down to the way your brain processes what you're experiencing. When that cup drops, your brain is taking in many things at once. The sound, the movement, the people are turning around, the sudden reaction in the room. All of this information is being processed very quickly through different systems in your brain. Normally, everything comes together smoothly, and you experience it as one continuous moment. But some researchers have suggested that, in certain situations, these processes may become slightly out of sync. A very small difference in timing could create a strange sense that part of the experience has already happened. The moment is happening right now. But your brain gives you the feeling that you've just experienced it before. S only one possible explanation, but it could help explain why déjà vu feels like the present is somehow repeating itself. Here's another explanation, and this one is about unconscious familiarity. Imagine you walked into this same coffee shop once before, but you were distracted. Maybe you were scrolling through your phone. You weren't paying attention to the room. You weren't consciously studying the tables, the windows, or the way the space was arranged, but your brain may still have noticed some of those details. The layout, the lighting, the position of the tables, the sounds around you. You may not consciously remember any of it. Then, one day, you're back in that same place, and this time you're fully paying attention. Suddenly, everything feels incredibly familiar. You think, I've been here before, and in this case, you actually have. But what's interesting is that your conscious mind may not have a clear memory of the earlier experience. Instead, your brain recognizes something familiar before you can consciously understand why. The recognition arrives first. The explanation comes later. And that gap between this feels familiar and I don't know why it feels familiar may be part of what makes déjà vu so strange. There's a little science behind these ideas too. Researchers believe déjà vu likely involves the brain systems responsible for memory and familiarity. One possibility is that your brain can sometimes create a strong feeling of familiarity without giving you the specific memory that caused it. Other research suggests that déjà vu may also involve brain regions connected to decision making and conflict detection, which could help explain why the experience feels like your mind is trying to figure out a contradiction. This feels like something I've experienced before, but I can't find the memory. But here's the honest part. Scientists still don't have one complete answer. Déjà vu is sudden. It lasts only a few seconds. And by the time you tell someone, I just experienced déjà vu, the feeling is already gone. That makes it incredibly difficult to study in real time. So researchers are still trying to understand exactly why the brain sometimes creates such a strong feeling that the present has already happened. And maybe that's what makes déjà vu so fascinating, because the next time it happens to you, take a second before the feeling disappears. Ask yourself, is there something small and familiar hiding in this moment? Maybe you've actually been somewhere like this before. Maybe your brain recognized a pattern before you consciously noticed it. Maybe something about the present reminded you of an experience from the past. Or maybe your brain simply created a powerful feeling of familiarity without giving you the memory to explain it. Nobody has completely cracked it yet, but perhaps that's the real mystery of déjà vu. Not that you've seen the future, not that reality has glitched. Just that, for a few seconds, your brain can make the present feel exactly like something you've already lived once before.